whole thing for any livestock that you got here in Central Texas come June, July, August. The other is they have a real reputation for being able to produce eggs on forage alone. And I got the idea from Brown Leghorn. These little small towns, little rural areas, there's always a cemetery association. Like, that would be the last place we would all think about going, right? You know, because it's a bunch of these really old people there talking about graves. But you go sit there and talk to them about it, and you say, what was it like, 60 years, 100 years, whatever, not 100 years. What was it like growing up around here? And they'll tell you, what kind of chickens do you have running around your yard? Well, everybody around here always had brown Leghorns. And I was, why is that? And I don't know, but they were really good chickens, and you talk to a bunch of people, that's a lot going on. So you'd be surprised where you can find sources of information. A lot of times the old timers are really good to talk to about things like that. On the other hand, part of the reason where we're at is because of those people, but there's still a lot of good wisdom to be gained. So, I also, our initial poultry thing, my husband hates dogs, which I found out later. We never had dogs on the property, and we were trying to keep it that way because you do have a lot more wildlife, but we could not keep any poultry alive. I mean, really, we had 16-pound turkeys roosting way high up into trees that would be just gone without a trace. Like, we didn't hear it, not gone, totally not, usually you'll see the pile of feathers or something somewhere, totally gone. And so we finally got dogs. And dogs, these are working dogs, these are not pets. They're working dogs, and their job is to protect the poultry. They run off deer to protect all the orchards and the plants. And even if I had a suburban backyard, I would have a small to medium dog, because dogs will do that. I want a dog. I think the biggest issue in the suburban area is going to be raccoons and possibly a small fox. So I'd want a dog that's a little bit bigger than a big raccoon, so it can take that on and run it off, or at least make enough noise that I can go out there and run that raccoon off, or catch that raccoon and eat it. That'll be our backyard food production. As with one neighbor, I was just talking to him today. We were dropping my son off and had a play date with this neighbor. And he's got all these chickens running around and peacocks sitting on stuff, and I have no idea why he's raising peacocks. That bird doesn't make any sense in terms of food production. He likes them. I said, how are you doing that? You got dogs? And he said, no. I said, how are you doing your predator control? And he said, well, I've got live traps everywhere, all around the perimeter. He says, we caught a possum, we got 2 raccoons, he's trapping everything before it even gets on, and he loves it. He's that kind of, he's out there. So that'll work also. But we found having the dogs run around, the dogs love it. They've got meaningful work, and they do a great job at it. Now, the dogs at one point also took to eating chickens, and it is true that you can break a dog from eating chickens. And you have to be, don't ever want this on film, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'll just tell you have to be very mean, but it is possible. And I've done it with both my dogs. They both were poultry eaters at one time, and you can break them of it. Dogs really do understand property rights. So, and if you let them know that that's your property, but they get and by the way, the dogs, though, I'm totally not into buying any feed, right? The dogs eat our scraps. They also eat the butchering scraps. And getting rid of meat products is a big issue. I mean, you might not have tried to get rid of meat products in a while, but what are you going to, you go dump them outside in your farm, well, you're going to attract fire ants for one, and for others, you're going to attract predators that are going to come in and want to eat those scraps. So getting rid of stuff is real important. So having the dogs around to do that. And we have intentionally chosen 2 kind of medium-sized dogs. We want 2 of them because out where we're at, we have coyotes and feral hogs and all kinds of stuff, and they need to be a certain size. But they're not real big, so if they get to barking and carrying on, that means I have to get up in the middle of the night. And I do. I go out there and we run off whatever we need to run off. But for us, the dogs have been a critical component. We also have huge losses in the orchards and in the garden with the deer. Deer will get to where they just walk right into your yard. I know people like in Westlake Hills have that problem in places where there's a lot of deer population.
Quick question, as far as the dogs eating the animal waste, does that include fur and skin?
Yeah, sometimes. So if I'm keeping the skin because I want to save it, I will, but otherwise I just feed them the skins.
And they have no problem devouring it.
No, they eat it, and then you'll look at their feces later and you'll see all the hair come out. But they just eat it. There's usually a lot of fat in the skin. And you know, we feed them the intestines, which actually, for a wild animal, you look at some of your stuff when it gets lost, or you catch something eating, you see a wild animal, they eat the intestines first. They eat the organs first. That's the most nutritious part of the animals. And as you're growing, when you start growing your own meat and you know the quality of the meat that you've got, you want to start eating those livers and kidneys and hearts, because that's where the most nutrition in that animal is. I haven't gotten up to where I eat the intestines yet. My husband and I are joking about that. I'm like, not too But so and the bones, we cook the bones, make a bone broth, and then we feed the bones to the dog. The head, the red here would use the brains for tanning, but I'm not up to that. But we feed the heads to the dogs. They get from some gophers, and they occasionally catch their own stuff and hunt their own stuff, and then just scraps. And I buy about a 50-pound bag of dog food maybe once every 6 months. And that's mostly for when I go on a trip and I have somebody else feed the dogs dog food, so, they have some. Yeah.
I was just going to say regarding the intestines, I've never done it, but historically, that's the first thing Indians would eat when they made a kill. And they would just take the intestines, and that was a delicacy.
Well, even with the stuff in it.
Especially with the stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's how you get a lot of nutrients you don't get any other way
Yeah.
for that.
No, really, it's the because if they've got it and they're digesting it, you'll be able to digest it. Okay, so even with a free-range flock, an extra pen is useful. Every now and then you're going to have a sick bird, or you're going to want you're reintroducing new birds or something. Guineas are really mean, or maybe you're wanting to raise some chicks, and you're also real vicious. Like if you get one that's wounded, if you get a wounded chicken, it's bleeding and stuff, the other chickens will kill it. They're really mean. So even though if you go with a free-range flock and get one set up, you may still need a pin every now and then. To go back to the free-range flock thing again, the main reason I have the free-range flock is those guys get down early in the morning, and they're out there getting those early morning bugs. I don't want to have to get up before dawn and open the gate for them so that they can get early morning bugs. And if I don't open the gate for them to get early morning bugs, that means I have to feed them. And I don't want to have to feed them. So that's the whole reason we've spent so much time trying to develop a free-range system. And then plus they can stay out as late as they want and eat as long as they want, and they're much better at figuring that out than I am. It's amazing what the chickens will eat and what they'll find. So that's one of the reasons I'm a big advocate of the free-range flocks, because they're going to require much less feed than another one. But extra pens are still useful.
How do you find their eggs?
That's the other thing is it's Easter all the time.
If they're free range, do they use those cages like that picture?
Yeah, I do. I set up little boxes for them in little places. And yeah, I do. I have like about a dozen different nests, and they rotate. They'll be in one for a couple of weeks to a month, and then they'll move to another one. And I got named my kids now, and my kids love to go collect them. But I used to know where all the nests were. And, you just go out and collect them. And to be honest with you, dogs, if they're on the ground, we let the dogs eat the eggs, except for special nests. We've told them they can't touch, like the goose nest. And really, I'm really pretty amazed. You can train the dogs that they can eat these, but you can't eat that. And they really, they've responded to that. So, yeah, Easter all the time. It's kind of fun, though. We all like to go shopping. We just go out and look for eggs. So this is a review of the talk that we've had. We've been talking about family self-reliance here. Why would you want to grow your own food? Well, why not? The world's going to end. The common myth, no, it is not easy to grow your own food. Yes, you will get discouraged. There's so much that can go wrong, and there's so much that will go wrong. And then because you're here, it means you live in Central Texas. You've got a whole other deck stacked against you. This climate is crazy. We're at the intersection of 5 different bioregions, and we get the weather patterns of any one of them at any time, and you just never know. And it's crazy, how you have to. really hard here. Yeah. We gave you some rough ideas